Hi and welcome to Yarnspirations. I'm Mary Beth Temple for Hooked for Life, and in this video we're going to take a closer look at the In Bloom knit wreath. This is super fun to make in Lily Sugar and Cream, so click on the link below to download your free pattern, and while you're down there, subscribe to the channel for fresh content weekly on knitting, crocheting, and other yarny stuff. We're going to take a look at a couple of terms you may not be familiar with for two of the flowers and the start of the leaves. So let's get started and make this fabulous wreath. Now, flower 1 is pretty self-explanatory. I want to take a closer look at flower 2. That's this guy. And this guy, the ones that sort of look like roses. So the first thing that you will do is cast on 103 stitches. I, of course, am making a smaller one, just in the interest of time. And looking at the first row, it says knit 7 and turn. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, turn, knit 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, turn. So this stitch, we're just going to leave it there. We're not doing anything fancy, we're just leaving it on the other needle because we don't need it at this exact moment. Then we're going to knit 5. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and turn. Same thing. All these stitches that we're not working on, they're just going to hang out on the needle where they live. Knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, turn, knit 3, 1, 2, 3, turn, knit 2, 1, 2, turn, knit 12. So that's the 2 that are here, 1, 2, and then keep going. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's my first little wave going on here, and now I'm going back to the asterisk. So I've turned the work. I'm going to knit 6, and we're going to just keep repeating that until we get to the very end of the row. Three, 4, 5, 6, turn, etc. So I'm going to put just a couple more of these little wavy sections in here, and then I want to come back and look at the very end of the row. So I've done all the repeats that I have of the stitches between the asterisk, and you will notice the last thing that you do as part of that asterisk is knit 12. So I have knit my 12 because it said repeat from asterisk to end of row. Now your row of course will be much longer than mine, but you will get the general gist. So we have repeated between the asterisks to the end of the row. It says turn knit 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, turn knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whoops, turn knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, turn knit 3, 1, 2, 3, turn knit 2, 1, 2, and then it says turn and knit 4, and that's all the stitches I have left is 4. One, 2, 3, 4. So even though I have short rows and all that kind of stuff going on here, I still have the number of stitches at the end of this row that I did at the beginning. There's actually no increasing and decreasing happening. So for the second row, it says knit 2 together and then repeat from asterisk to last stitch knit 1. So I'm going to knit 2 together all the way across. And then there's our last knit 2 together. And we're going to finish that row with a knit 1. So you have decreased your stitches by almost half, and what that does is it gives these little petals, gives them some texture and some shaping. When you roll them up into your flower, they're going to curl up nicely and look more natural. The third and the fourth rows are knit, and then you're going to cast off, leaving a long end, and we want you to leave those long ends so you have something later to sew the flower together or to tie the flower onto the metal ring, or both. So I'm going to finish up this teeny tiny flower right here, and then we're going to move on to the next one. Here's my little flower. Yours, of course, will be much bigger. But you can see what I meant about how, since it's tighter at the bottom, it makes the petals have a little depth and texture to them. So all I'm going to do now is roll up this piece. And again, yours is much longer. And I want to keep that bottom edge even, because it will make it easier to sew up when it's time. And again, yours will be much bigger, but you'll just keep going and going and going. Use that long tail to put a couple of tack stitches in the bottom to hold it together. And then later on, if there's some left, you can use it to tie it onto your metal ring before you get everything fixed permanently into place. Moving on to flower 3, I did the center off camera because all it is seed stitch. And I know you know how to do that. So you're going to cast on 9 stitches, and then every row is knit 1, then purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1 to the end. And you just keep working that row until it's 1 3/4 inches or 4.5 centimeters, and you cast it off. So there's my center. I'm just going to set that to the side. Now let's take a look at the petals. Once again, we're on flower 3 on the second page. So I have cast on 3 stitches. First row is knit. Second row, knit to last stitch KFB. Now KFB is knit front and back, and that is an increase. So I'm knitting to the last stitch. Here's my last stitch, and I'm going to KFB. So knit in the front of the stitch like you always would, but do not push the stitch off the left-hand needle. You want to leave it there. Now knit a second stitch in the back loop of the same stitch. So now I've turned 1 into 2, and now I can push it off the left-hand needle. So I had 3, and now I have 4. So it says, for the third row, beg your pardon, KFB, knit to end of row. So now my knit front and back is at the beginning. So knit in the front, like you always do. Do not push it off the left-hand needle. Knit in the back of the same stitch. We have turned 1 stitch into 2. Now push it off the left-hand needle and go about your business. So it says repeat second and third rows until there are 9 stitches. Let's see how many I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a second row, knit to the last stitch KFB. Knit to the last stitch. KFB. Knit in the front. Don't push it off. Knit in the back. Do push it off. And then another third row. That's my knit front and back at the beginning. So you'll notice, having looked at this pattern, that all your increases are on the same side. So if you get distracted or disturbed and you can't remember where you are, just remember that on this particular piece, all the increases are on one side of the work, and the other side is just even and straight up and down. How many do we have now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's repeat that second and third one more time, which will get us to our 9. Knit to the end of the row. Knit front and back, knit front, knit back, push off, and then my rows 3s are knit front and back first. Knit front and back, knit to the end, and that should give me my 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So here we are with our 9 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we're moving on to where it says next row. And it says knit to last 2 stitches and knit 2 together. So it's So we have our 2 stitches here. We're going to knit them together. So we're going to insert that right hand needle tip through both stitches as if they're one. Yarn over and finish the stitch. And that's a decrease, so now we should have 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the next row, which also says next row, is knit 2 together, knit to end of row. So in the same way that all of our increases were on one side of the work, all of our decreases will be on one side of the work, and it's the same side of the work. So that was our knit 2 together, And that was another decrease. We should be down to 7 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes. So we're going to keep repeating those 2 rows. Knit to the last 2 stitches, knit 2 together, or knit 2 together, knit to the end of the row until we have 3 stitches remaining. And at that point, we're going to go back to where that double asterisk is, which is right at the beginning of the second row, and repeat all of the rows between the double asterisk 11 times more. And at that point, we're going to cast off, leaving a long tail, so that we have that long tail when we need it to sew the flowers together or tie them onto the metal frame. So we're back down to 3 stitches, and now following along with the pattern, we're going to go back to where that double asterisk is, which is knit to last stitch, knit front and back, and we're going to repeat the section between the double asterisks 11 times more and cast off, leaving a long end. So at that point, to assemble this flower, we're going to wrap all those petals around the center and sew as shown in the picture. So there is the center hanging out in the middle, and there are the petals arranged around the outside of the center. So we're still going to wrap them up like we did on the first flower that I showed you, but we're going to wrap them around the center. Next, I want to talk just a little bit about the leaf. It's pretty self-explanatory. I just want to do the first couple rows on camera so you can get started. So just taking a brief look at the leaves, because I do think they're pretty easy to do. I just want to show you how to get them started in case the slip-on purlwise is new to you. So we're going to cast on 3 stitches, which I did. First row is knit. 1, 2, 3. Second row, SL1P, that's slip 1 purlwise. So when we slip a stitch, we move it from the left hand needle to the right hand needle without doing anything to it, but that P means purlwise, so we're going to slip it as if to purl. So I'm inserting my right hand needle like I'm going to make a purl stitch, but I'm just going to slip it over. So that's my slip 1P, yarn over. My next stitch is a knit, so I'm going to just bring the yarn over the needle from the front to the back. Knit 1. Now my yarn is in the back and I need to yarn over again, but I need the working yarn to stay in the back because my next stitch is a knit. So I'm bringing that yarn between the needles and over the right hand needle, and then I'm going to knit that last stitch. So I went from 3 stitches to 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For the third and the alternate rows, it says slip 1 purlwise, purl to end of row. So I'm going to slip 1 purlwise. Remember, I'm moving it from the left hand needle to the right hand needle without doing anything to it, but I'm putting that right hand needle in as if I was going to make a purl stitch. Purl to the end. Fourth row, slip 1 purlwise, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over. My yarn's in the back, and that's where it needs to stay because I'm knitting, so that's fine. So I'm going to bring it between the needles and over the right hand needle. So that was my yarn over, knit 1, yarn over again in the same way between the needles, over the right hand needle, knit 2. And it tells me I will have 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Fifth row is going to be that slip 1 purlwise, purl to end. I'm just going to show you the 6th row, and then after that I really think you can follow along with the pattern and be fine. Like I said, I just wanted to show you how it's set up. So let's just take a quick look at the 6th row. Slip 1 purlwise, knit 2, 1, 2, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 3, 1, 2, 3. And at that point, I think you have a pretty good idea about how to get through the end of the leaf. Thank you so much for joining us here on Yarnspirations for the In Bloom Knit Wreath. I'm Mary Beth Temple for Hooked for Life. Please subscribe to the channel for fresh content weekly on knitting, crocheting, and other yarny stuff. And we look forward to seeing you again here real soon. Bye-bye.